It's your girl Karina, aka I've Karina. Welcome back to my channel. And in this video, I am going to talk about Lilith and Pisces. So, if you want to know about Lilith and Pisces, more than likely you might be, you might have this aspect in your chart. You might be, watching this because you know somebody who has Lilith and Pisces and you're curious about what that is. It's also possible that you're dealing with somebody who is showing the dark side of Pisces. So they might not have Lilith and Pisces, but maybe they have the sun or the moon or like a personal planet like Mercury or Venus. So it won't play out exactly the same way if they have the other personal planets, but it still tends to lean towards like the dark side or the shadow side of any of those personal planets in Pisces. And of course, if you're watching this because you have an adversary, right, somebody that you don't really get along with, Lilith and Pisces also might give you some insight, so it's kind of like a dark-sided version, but what makes Lilith and Pisces really unique, right, is that Lilith is a place in the sky, right, named after the figure Lilith, which is Adam's rejected wife, his first wife, whom is rejected. And there is this energy about Lilith that has to do with that very thing, about being rejected, right? So if you're dealing with somebody who is showcasing a Lilith energy in Pisces, they are showcasing a side of themselves in which they're dealing with acceptance or not, not being included, not sorry, not having everything work out in their favor, and so they are reactionary, and this is how it plays out. This is what that energy feels like, right? So also check out my talk on Lilith in the 12th house. I briefly go through that. It's similar, but it's different. So Pisces is the zodiac sign. The 12th house is the manifestation of it physically here, on Earth, right, in the physical dimension. So it has the same aesthetic, but they can have different outcomes, or just it looks different. So when we're dealing with Lilith and Pisces, we're talking about Lilith and Neptunian vibes, right? And Neptune, similar to the 12th house, is about isolation and like closing yourself off and encapsulating yourself from other people. So people with Lilith and Pisces often will, when feeling rejected, right, this part of them that needs to kind of fall into their own chaos, they will isolate themselves, or they will kind of like completely isolate you in a sense of like erasing you from their aura and memory. Now, Pisces is a sign actually that holds on to people, like holds on to the past, and is compassionate, right? So when Lilith is in Pisces, they're dealing with their needs to be compassionate, right, versus their needs to survive. And if they feel that you are somebody that is threatening their peace, then they may completely like pretend that you don't exist, and they might actually cancel you out completely. So this is one way that this works out. Another thing with Lilith and Pisces is that Neptune is ruler of Pisces, right? There's a modern ruler of Pisces. So this is where you're dealing with film, movies, everything that has to do with like preserving a story or preserving a memory. So photos, photo albums, right? And so Lilith and Pisces can often be people that like kind of obsess over, a memory of a certain event or a person, and hold on to like a photo of them. And it may seem like it's innocent, but this energy is like not really of the purest kind, right? Because Pisces is opposite of Virgo. Virgo fights for the purity. Pisces can actually be more of the tainted stuff. So everything that you think looks like it's nothing, it probably has a deeper meaning to it, but it's just the Lilith and Pisces person is not as revealing about it, right? So they'll hold on to memories for some, dark reason that they have about it. A lost love, or like just, making sure that they can always preserve that memory to some degree. And they may measure this memory, right, this falsified idea of a time in their life or a person in their life, and measure it up against, that which they're dealing with right now. So they can put on a pedestal these memories. They can put on a pedestal this fantasy idea of what was versus what is. Neptune energy is also, like I said, the film. So this is where we get a lot of pornography addiction with Lilith and Pisces, because Lilith is pure raw sexual energy, right? But how do we utilize this energy in its most in its most chaotic manifestation? And so you're dealing with high addiction to movies, and high addiction to pornography. Also, this is more of the person that views it, but it could be a person that acts in it, but I feel like it's more of like they just get lost in that world, in that fantasy world, right? And they can have very left field, exotic fantasies or fetishes. And this is where it's also similar to the 12th house that I didn't actually mention in that video, is that the 12th house like represents across the seas. So the 12th and the 9th house both have to do with like people from a different culture than you, right? But the 12th and the 9th house are about different cultures, with the 12th house being far across the seas. So they can have like these fetishes of like people from a different cultural background that are very different from where they come from, right? And they can experiment, with different people from different backgrounds. And I'm talking about sexually, and they know that, like, they know that they're, going, that they're subconsciously and consciously, like, trying out these people, like they are, picking them from like a supermarket shelf, like it, and it might have something to do with the need to explore, but it might also have to do with the fantasy of, what they think like that culture or that type of person could be, because that 12th house is foreign travels across seas. The 12th house, right, similar to Pisces, is also about being in the bed, laying in bed, right? So Lilith and Pisces can be somebody who like does a lot of their activities in bed, and of course sexual, but even just like whatever they do, if they're studying, if they're creating, if they're talking to someone, like they like to like be in the bed all the time. And that's kind of like their zone out place. That's like where they do their stuff. But of course, that's going to lead to also more, needs to act out in bed. So of course, this is a very sexual sign, right? But it's not aggressive in it, but it's sexual in the sense of all the fantasies and playing it out through like voyeurism, right? And they can also be that way as well, like tied to that. So the higher element and maturity of this Lilith in Pisces is someone who shows their compassion, and somebody who is really here to help people who are in need of almost that sexual healing. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to get more updates on when I release new videos, just go ahead and hit like and subscribe. Also, check out my new music channel. I'll be uploading covers, and I'm releasing an astrology-themed EP this year, so definitely check me out.